Welcome to the Undone Club.
A pod for when you just can't get your shit together.
Hello, friends. We're back.
Welcome to episode...
Number 4.
Wow, I actually forgot what episode
I
it
know.
was.
We took a break, but we're back. We needed a break after 3 episodes. We were very tired.
And uni holidays as well.
Yes, uni cooked us a little bit. We are back. All right. I feel really out of practice, not gonna lie. I feel a bit like, ooh, now what?
Our first thing is always recommendations.
Recommendations. All right, do you have one? Do you want to go first?
Ooh, okay. My recommendation is really deep again. Reframing your thoughts. So the things that really annoy you every day, for example, doing the dishes. Like, you know how you just always have dishes and they're always piling up, or like you always have laundry, or you always have to vacuum, and it just feels really like annoying.
Yeah.
And it kind of weighs you down. You're like, oh, I always have to do this. I don't know, sometimes I get a bit of like spirally because I'm just always thinking, oh, always have to do it. Instead of like thinking in that way, try to like reframe it into like, instead of thinking, I always have to do dishes, change it to, oh my God, I get to have a clean kitchen because doing these things makes me have a clean kitchen. Or I always have a clean floor because I'm vacuuming all the time.
I like that. Instead of, oh my God, I have to make dinner every night for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I get to have a delicious dinner every night for the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I started doing that and I noticed such a big shift in my mood. Instead of feeling like, oh, how annoying, I was like, oh, how cool, like how fresh is this place because I'm always doing this.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's so little, but it's very like impactful. So
honestly,
that's my reco.
you're filling me with joy. Filling me with joy.
Yay. What's your reco?
My recommendation is going to sound so conceited after that beautiful wise.
I couldn't think of anything else the first thing.
I think I have a beauty recommendation actually.
Mm.
Not so much beauty. It's actually the Palmer's body oil. It's really nice, especially if you put it on when your skin is still a little bit damp.
Yeah, like after the
Moisture-
shower.
Yeah, moisturize for days. I love it.
I
Very
like
nice.
that.
Yeah, very simple, clean cut recommendation from
I
me.
like that.
So you get a bit of everything on this pod.
You do.
You never know what you're gonna get. But bone to put. But yes, our bones to pick. This is where I feel like I really come through.
You do.
And I've got
All right.
excessive.
I'll go first because mine isn't very funny, and then you can go and bring your shiny bone to pick. My bone to pick is myself. Why am I so clumsy? Sometimes I'm just holding an item, and then my brain just forgets that I'm like holding an item, and I just like let go, and then it can smash. It's a coffee. It's gone everywhere, and this happens to me like on the daily. And so for some reason, I just have that brain to body like signal just disappear for 1 second.
I used to be like that a lot as a kid.
As a kid.
Yeah. Not so much as an adult.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I think I don't know. I must have like mentally developed or something.
Yeah.
Everything caught up. But when I was
I'm glad you mentally developed.
When I was a kid, we used to go camping very frequently, like as a family, and my family would always be like, watch out for the ropes like on the tent.
Oh, yeah.
Because I shit you not, every single camping trip I'd stack it within the first 5 minutes. They had to start putting glow sticks
That's funny.
on each of the things so I would see it and I would still stack it every time. And I actually have this like burning memory. My mum, she'll be listening and she will crack up at this, but when the Wii Fit came out, on the Wii Sports, they used to have like running, like your little me character would be running. I literally stacked it in the lounge room. Like I fell and then my character like tumbled like on the screen.
That's funny.
And anyway, it was just a beautiful embodiment of how clumsy I was as a kid, and that's really what my main shtick was.
Damn.
Horrible. So I relate to you, Faith.
For when you're a child. Some of us are still living on. Yeah, I'm like that. Whenever I'm like, I've got something on the side of the couch, my partner will be like, babe, put that on the table. I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's all good. He looks at me. He's like, can you please put it on the table? Just because the track record there is lots of smashed items.
You don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore.
No.
Oh.
Anyway,
no.
what is your bone to pick?
My bone to pick, out of my beautiful list, is the what if people on TikTok. You know when someone, or on Instagram, or whatever, someone will post a recipe being like, banana bread recipe. And the first comment is, what if I don't like bananas? Fucking, I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Don't make banana bread?
I find that hilarious. That's so funny. Because
like,
obviously, like, that's just a joke.
It's just
But
everywhere.
I see your point.
I was like, what if I'm allergic? Okay, then don't have it. What do you want us to say?
Your literal brain is like, obviously.
But it's literally just the what if people. It's like, what if I don't have money to go on a European holiday? Babe, join the club. Neither do I. What do you think?
Yes.
Anyway, that's my bone to pick, because
Work hard.
it irritates me every time. I'm like,
Yeah.
piss off.
Yeah. Just like the Debbie Downers, the negative Nancys,
Yes.
The
Let the people who can
pessimistic
enjoy.
Pollies. Sorry.
Pessimistic Pollies.
I was on a bit of a alliteration
She
time.
was alliteration.
Yeah.
She's freestyling.
Yeah, sorry. I was really excited.
Oh, guys, I feel like we've got a bit of zoomies. We haven't recorded in ages, and the last one we recorded was virtual.
Yeah, it was.
So we're back.
We're back.
We're back in the studio.
Today's episode is titled
Move, you're in your own way. And whole premise of this is to reiterate that the biggest thing in the way of your success is probably you.
Yeah.
And once you realize that and put in some, I don't know, mechanisms in place, things change and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And exciting. So,
I love that. I love talking about this stuff because I feel like it's always... I know I was talking on my Instagram the other day about how, like, when have you given... Like, if there's something that you're ruling yourself out of being successful in, have you actually given yourself a chance to, like, prove it to yourself that you can do it? Because I feel like so often we're in our own way. We'll say, we don't have this, we can't do this, we don't have this expensive thing to make sure we can do that, don't have this privilege. But there are heaps of people who have clawed their way into doing what they are doing with very minimal things behind them, you know what I mean?
like the resources, you make
Resources.
it work.
Yeah.
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 Which is nice.
Yeah.
I like it. But I guess, like, there's so many elements to you being in your own way, and it can come down to, like, well, the first thing is caring what people think about you. This is such a big one, and especially if you're young, it's, I don't know, very, very on the mind in the way.
Yeah.
It's not so much, well, for me, it's never been so much about what strangers think about me. It's people I went to school with.
Yeah.
It's, like, distant family members or family members.
Yeah.
I just, it's that, like, validation of, are they going to think I'm embarrassing?
Yeah.
And I just, like,
Yeah.
I can't. But if you don't push past that, you will always have those thoughts
Yeah.
and feelings.
Yeah.
You actually said something really good recently about, like, embracing, like, the cringe of it all, and
Yes.
I like that.
Embracing the cringe. I always, to, like, I don't know, come out of that mindset, I always try to, like, go to the very end of thoughts. Bit of psychoanalyzing myself. Self-therapy. It's like, if somebody really did think that hardcore negatively of you, do you actually care about what that type of a person thinks?
Yeah.
And do you actually care about their opinion? So I'm like, if I had a friend who, or like a distant person that knew me, and I'm doing something that I love, or I'm putting myself out of my comfort zone, and I might be coming across as a bit cringy to someone who is judging from the outside in, and if they're having these hardcore negative thoughts, like, oh my god, who does she think she is? She looks so cringe, doesn't she realize that? I wouldn't really care, because I'm like, do I want that type of person in my corner? Do I want that type of energy around me? No.
No.
And it's like, if somebody's that, like, mean inside their own heads towards someone else, I don't know, it's like not the type of person I can see myself taking advice from.
Yeah, that really reflects on that person more than it does on you and what you're putting out, so that's a really important thing to take away.
Yeah. And I feel like you can't find your creativity, you can't find your, like, you can't go out of your comfort zone and do the things that you want to do or find what that is until you, like, be a little bit cringy.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
You gotta, like, see what works.
You do.
And
I think if you're
works.
always, like, thinking about what other people think of you, you're just going to be stuck in your little box.
Yeah.
And you're never
you
going to get
stuck
out of
in
it.
a loop of,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like, I'm comfortable doing this, and I don't think anyone cares if I do this. I'm now too scared to break out of that.
Yeah.
So it's just the cycle. It's rough.
Yeah.
I felt it a lot when I started Instagram, and even now, this is a bit of, like, confessional.
Yeah.
I still am too scared to start a TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I've said it to you a few times, but just for those listening, I have this, like, belief that Instagram is more cornered and I have a bit more control over who sees my content, because I guess it doesn't really get pushed out in the way TikTok pushes content out to people.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm still terrified of TikTok. I'm
Yeah.
terrified of posting my face on there, terrified of, like, seeing how many times it's been shared. I'm like, oh my god, where is this going? And I think that's something I really need to push myself out of, and I guess we could all enter this journey together of getting out of our comfort zones and doing things that scare us, because otherwise you go nowhere.
And I've got to say, life is so much more fun when you push yourself out of your comfort zone. Like, you get that rush of adrenaline and you kind of just don't care because you're just so focused on, oh my god, I did that thing. Like, holy fuck, I did it. Like, what?
Yeah.
You're just like so in that space. So I feel like your cares disappear the more you go outside of your comfort zone. So yeah.
That, like, comes back to especially with TikTok. I love watching people who daily vlog. I love watching people who just do silly little talking to the camera, like, get ready with me, all those kind of things that I would feel so embarrassed to do.
Yeah.
But if I love watching the content so much, there are other people who enjoy it.
Yeah.
Why can't people enjoy that of me?
Yeah.
And there's no answer to that. They would enjoy it, and I would have fun making it. It's the fear of what people think.
Yeah.
Of that feels really vulnerable and personal.
Yeah.
Even though it's really nothing deep, it's just putting your face out there, and your face being attached to your brand can be like really terrifying.
Especially as like nutrition dietetic students, like in the future we're going to be like accredited practicing dietitians, like people will know who we are, and it's like we have a bit of a digital, what do you call it?
Digital footprint.
Yeah. So it can be really scary, and it's like also the whole concept of being a student, what's like the line, what you can post. I feel like that used to be a really big barrier for me as well.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. I feel pretty comfy with knowing what to do. I feel like it comes with just practice and like being probably further along in our degree as well.
No, for sure.
I feel. But yeah, I also like, sometimes I see people on TikTok and they are cringy. Like, there's just no two questions. They are cringy. But that is also their brand, and that's why people love them.
Yes.
Have you seen those people?
Yes.
I fucking love them. I get so much energy, and they're so cringe. There's this girl, and she says these motivational quotes.
I did the exact one.
I love her. She gives me so much joy, and they're so confident, and they post it, and I get so much joy. Yeah.
But I literally didn't know whether she was does this sound mean? I don't know. I didn't know if she was like taking the piss.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm so confused. Is this her personality, or is this a bit?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell, but I was like, either way, like, I love it. I always send them to my friends.
Yeah. The first time I saw, I'm like, this is kind of weird, and then I saw it again. I'm like, I love the confidence, and I want her like confidence.
This is going so off track. We can cut it out. But like, do you know that girl on TikTok? And she lies. Like, her whole thing is making up stories, and she'll just like have a video and like text over it, and it'll just make the most fucking outlandish stories. And like, you think that can't possibly be true, and then like the comments are like, you again. It's just this girl who is like notorious for
what kind of stuff.
Oh my god.
I'm very naive, and if somebody says something wild, I'll believe it. So I'm scared that I've seen it and I've just believed it. I'll be like, oh wow, this crazy thing happened to this girl. Like, I feel like the people, like, embrace your cringe, because like you have to do that to find like the magic. You know what I mean?
That's such a cringe, beautiful quote.
Yeah.
From you.
I think so. And it's like, even like relating it to the gym, like my personal trainer, he says this thing like, when you really don't want to do it and when you really like can't be fucked, that's where the magic happens. It's like those last few reps. I feel like that's life too. Like, I don't know how this relates, but
it's true. Like, if you can get yourself to do something in the moments where you feel like the weakest, or the moments where you just can't be fucked, when you actually do have the energy, what you can pump out is going to be tenfold.
Yeah.
So, get in the habit of just letting yourself, even if it's shit.
Yeah.
Like,
who
it's
cares?
the habits.
And I feel like you can always look back on things that are really cringy or really shit, and they're the things that like make you. They're the things that let you explore your full self, your full like creativity, your full interest. It's like, that's the stuff that gets you to where you want to go. You have to do that thing to find out if you like it or you don't. Yeah.
That leads in really nicely to like the fear of failure. It's like, I think what stops a lot of us, and just a lot of other people, from really putting themselves out there is worrying that things are just going to tank, or like you put all this effort into actually putting your face out there, or doing something that scares you, and it going badly, and not knowing how to handle that.
Yeah.
Which, it is scary, and it does suck, but, not everything's going to succeed, and that's fine. It just comes back to putting your, like, motives into practice.
Yeah.
And, getting used to that.
Mm.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
No, definitely. And I feel like, I don't know, like, the whole thing of, like, what happens if you do fail? Like, what happens, I like to put myself in that position, like, I like to, fully go to the end of something. Like, what happens if I just don't like it? It flops, it's really embarrassing. Like, would I still like it? And that's kind of my way to be like, yeah, that's how I know I really want to do that thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're not, like, having any regrets. Like,
It's
I'd
the
rather
worst that
do
can
it.
happen.
Yeah. And that's how you always, like, find where you want to go. You just have to try things, you know? Like, people who have successful businesses, don't they always say, like, they've had heaps that have, like, failed or flopped? Like, the way to get somewhere is always, like, trial and error. Yeah.
Failure teaches you what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then you reassess and move forward.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a simple life advice, isn't it?
I think that people put so much focus on, like, perfectionism and making it be so perfect and putting so much energy into the planning, into the ideas. But what actually gets you to where you're going is actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And having a fail so you can, like, learn from it. Because you don't know what will work until you fail at it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's like hurricaning outside.
Some ambiance. Yeah.
Do you like rain sounds?
Yeah, I do.
This podcast is so ridiculous. Do you like the rain? Do you like brown noise? I love it. Where were we?
Fear of failure.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, actually, my word for 2024, and I think I'll take it into the next few years as well, has been failing more. Because you know how people have words for themselves, like, for a whole year? I was like, I don't know, I was, like, trying to think of this perfect thing. I'm like, I just want to fail more, like, in terms of do more things, because, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary, but...
It is scary. Like, I just love the idea of just trying it and seeing what works, because I feel like you just get so scared and you hold yourself back so much, but, like, how do you actually know if you will be good at something until you just, like, do it? I feel like it's very easy to sit back and watch other people who have succeeded and think to yourself, oh, they're just insert thing here, but they just did it.
Well, yeah,
that's the only difference.
That's literally like what you're talking about with businesses. Even when it comes down to social media, you, like, sometimes you only start seeing people's posts once they've kind of, like, quote unquote made it, and it's like, oh, well, they've done it, it must be easy, but it's not an easy journey.
No.
Like, especially with social media, like, holy moly.
You're reminding me of Sabrina Carpenter. Because, like, nobody, like, she wasn't big for ages, but she was obviously in the music scene for, like, quite a long time.
Yes,
like,
this
10 years.
This is what people are saying. It takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, yeah, it's okay. Like, if you, like, I don't know, there's beauty in the journey, and even if you feel like you're failing, that's probably a good thing. Like, if you're not failing, could you even argue you're doing something wrong? Like, you should be failing. You should be experimenting. That didn't work. Oh, this worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. This comes down to so many different things in life, and, like, I don't know, I could go on 10 trillion tangents, and believe me, I will. It's what I do best.
That's why we have a podcast.
But even down to, like, we're talking a lot about social media because that's kind of, like, what we're really invested in at the moment, and I guess study as well. But even down to personal health goals.
Yeah.
There are so many people who, like, maybe, for example, someone with a big weight loss goal. You, like, I've seen, like, countless times people holding themselves back, being like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it perfectly, so I'm just not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
It's like, if you look at it in that perspective, someone who maybe has really unhealthy lifestyle habits and just wants to go balls to the wall, all or nothing, very black or white thinking, you're probably going to fail. And in that sense, it's a different kind of failure than I think what we were talking about before, of there's failure and there's just not trying at all.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to experiment with, like, the nuances and what works and what doesn't. But if you can make tiny steps to become a better version of yourself, why would you not do that rather than just sit back and just let everything kind of snowball and get worse?
I guess it all comes down to, like, habits.
Yeah.
And, like, self-perfection and holding yourself to this, you think you have to be perfect and so you don't do anything.
Exactly. You get that, like, paralysis. But, yeah, the perfectionism is very debilitating sometimes, and I guess we kind of touched on this in the first episode. Like, the whole point of this podcast is to just really emphasize not having your shit together. It's okay, but it doesn't mean that we're just sitting there feeling sorry for ourselves 24/7. There is, what you said before, like there's beauty in figuring it out as you go, and that is just, it's really hard to think of in the long term, because when you're in it, it's like, oh, I'm never going to sort this out. Like, I'm never going to get to where I want to be. But putting those habits in place, understanding you can really kick back and, like, you don't have to be perfect to succeed.
Yeah.
That is just something that's taken me years and years and years to even get through my brain. And even now, there's certain things where I'm like, oh, if I'm not good at it straight away, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I used to joke that that was, like, a genetic thing, because like my whole family kind of seems to be that way, but like, you know, I think we're just so ingrained and taught from a young age, like this is the right way to do things. If you're not doing it that way, then what are you doing? So
interesting.
And
I like how you said that, because it's like your environments, and we learn about that in our like uni degree, about how your environment that you're in really dictates how you, like, for example, obesity is much more common if your whole family is also obese, and it's like that whole, even with like thoughts and like how you were like, I can't do it, I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to ever do it. So like, I don't know, like taking stock of that, because you're not like, where am I going with this? But it's just like, I don't know, maybe what I'm trying to say is like being aware of what your environment is and how that's impacting your limiting beliefs, and how that's impacting you, because like you don't have to be a victim to that. Like, there
are so many like coping mechanisms and things that you can try to break those like cycles, I guess, and especially the generational stuff. It kind of like, I think
deep.
Sometimes I'm not an expert, I'm not a freaking philanthropist. Is that the word? Cut that out.
Philanthropist.
We can't say words. We can't say carousel or charcuterie or... Anyway, what was I saying?
Yeah, like your environment and limiting beliefs.
Oh, yeah. So I guess, like, sometimes environmental factors may stem from years and years of not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And
I'm not realising.
Yeah.
A lot of it's subconscious. This is some really self-therapy vibes here. But you have a lot of subconscious things that you just believe, and that shapes the way you think and act.
Yes.
This is deep.
It is.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, you get a bit of everything when chats with us.
It's true. And I feel like, I don't know, I definitely relate to that, because like, I know being in uni, I've noticed, like, this used to be a self-limiting belief I had. I noticed people who are really good and get 7s come from families where their parents are really successful in these like I don't know, prestigious careers, whereas like me myself, like my parents are definitely not from prestigious careers at all, and so it was definitely something that I used to just believe about myself, like I can't like be that good because I don't come from that kind of a background. Or like what you believe about other people, like if you see someone succeed, this is getting deep, but like and be really financially successful, if you're like, oh, their parents are rich.
I dislike that that's where my brain goes to a lot of the time. I know sometimes it can be true, but I also believe two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
And our brains, I guess, kind of don't like that. I sound terrible when I say it, but I hate the idea that other people can be in the exact same shoes I am and do better than me.
Yeah, well, privilege is a real thing too. Like
but I guess, like, you know, understanding privilege, yes, is one thing, but also people work fucking hard.
They do.
And that's, like, something to be really mindful of, I guess. Like, to not discredit people for... I'm not saying you're discrediting anyone.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, people have worked really hard for themselves and maybe bought themselves from the ground up. The whole, like, daddy's credit card kind of chat. I'm like, oh, that like, sits really gross with me.
Too.
Like, if it's not necessarily true. And, like, people can paint these pictures of others, and then that kind of feeds into our own subconscious of...
Yeah.
We've made up a story about someone that we don't know.
Yeah.
And now that's feeding into our brain of, I can't have that because their family paid for that.
Exactly.
We don't even know if that's true.
Exactly.
You know, it's just where our brains tend to go when something seems hard or too good to be true.
Exactly.
When sometimes it's just hard work.
Yeah. And I think we don't realise how much that shapes our own view of ourselves. If we say that about, or we think that about someone else, it just, like, makes you think, oh, so, like, that means I can't do that because... like, only people who insert thing here can do that thing. Yeah, that's really big. And I feel like this is so deep, but I feel like it's definitely all related to health, nutrition, everything, because what you believe about yourself and the limiting beliefs you have definitely dictate, I guess, like how you can be successful and what that actually means to you as well.
I think it's also really important to... I am not a psychologist. Just major,
we are not qualified
major disclaimer, we are not psychologists, but just from personal experience, trying to break those thought patterns and catch myself out in them sometimes is really helpful.
Yeah.
Especially when things feel really hard. Let's relate it back to study, for example, of I can't do this, like these people have it so much better. It's like, oh, okay, how about we cut that?
Yeah.
Cut the shit.
Yeah.
Yes, people have privilege, but I am still capable.
Yeah.
I'm still smart.
Yeah.
I still know what I need to do. Just because my circumstances don't align with everyone else's doesn't mean that I can't do the thing that I want to do. And people from all walks of life are capable of doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And so I just think catching yourself out in those negative self-belief thought processes is just...
It's powerful.
It's imperative to healing your relationship with your thoughts and like what people think of you and putting yourself out there.
Yeah. That's really powerful, and I feel like it's hard to do because it's very subconscious. You don't always realize. But yeah, it's really important, I think, because you don't want to rule yourself out, and if you have these really limiting self-beliefs about yourself, how are you going to fail more? How are you going to not care about what people think? Because you'll just be in your own brain.
It's like we've been saying all these deep chats and whatever in this episode, but also it's not that deep. Like everything that we throw out and think about ourselves and worry about, in the scheme of things, it's not that deep.
This is a rock in the space.
Oh,
we're little blips.
It's gonna start like spiraling me, but
it's not that serious.
I think as soon as I realised,
just have fun.
As far as I'm concerned, and as we're all concerned, we only have like this one opportunity in life to just live our lives.
Yeah.
Why are we worried?
Yeah.
I feel like this is deja vu right now because I've said this before and I feel like I say this so often to people. But yeah, like, I don't know, just do what makes you happy because...
Yeah, you only live once. No one is really caring that much.
I used to always say this thing, I feel like when I was a teenager and I was very into spirituality and my...
When you thought you were a witch.
Yeah. I feel like we cut that out of one of our episodes, actually.
Fun fact about Casey, she thought she was...
Oh, yeah, I definitely thought I was a witch at one point. But anyway, I just always used to come back to this saying of, at the end of the day, I am the only person who I truly have. Like, anything can happen with all these other people and external things in my life. And if I become secure within myself and happy with who I am, and know that I can trust myself and fall back on myself, then, that's, like, all I need.
That is all you need.
And just, I don't know, being your own best friend.
Yes.
And knowing that when you're on your deathbed.
Yeah, you are, I love that. I always think, when I'm going too crazy in my brain, like, ruminating, that's what I always think. Like, oh, Grandma Faith, like, will she think, will this matter? No? Then move on.
Move on. Anyway, it's obviously a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's really
good
nice.
To zoom out.
It is good to zoom out sometimes and see the bigger picture. But taking little steps to make your future you happy.
Yeah. And you reminded me when you were talking about all of that is you are literally the creator of your own life. Like you are the one doing it. Like no one's gonna do it for you. There's no person who's gonna come in and do it for you. You know what I mean?
No.
Go and do it.
You have to take control.
Yeah.
Faith is actually, you were speaking before about how you started getting a bit more into your manifesting. And I see you made a vision board.
Yeah, I did.
I'm big on vision boards.
Yeah, I like it.
I seriously think sometimes we compartmentalize all our goals and dreams and all these things we want to do, and sometimes you kind of forget about it, or it's just if it's not in front of you, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just a me thing, but
ADHD, object permanence, is that what it's called? Yeah.
I guess so, but at the beginning of every year I always make a vision board and make it my background. I love it. And I feel like it does help me stay aligned with what I actually want to achieve, and when things do feel tough, it's a visual reminder of this is actually what you're doing all of this for.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
And I think also normalizing things in your brain, and I listen to a girl, and she does like brain kind of stuff, Do You Fucking Mind podcast. I'm
Oh,
obsessed. Alexis Fernandez. I love her. And she always talks about how your brain, like, you have confirmation bias, like your brain just likes to confirm things that you believe. And I don't know if anyone else has had, like, I don't know, a time where something happens, you're like, oh, of course, like, no one likes me. Oh, of course, I'm so embarrassing. Or, like, you know, you had those moments, or, like, this happened, I knew it. Like, that's a example of, like, confirmation bias. If you have these deep ingrained thoughts, and then you see this thing, you're like, oh, that makes sense, because, like, I knew that. What if you did that in, like, a positive way? I've always, like, I've loved that, and I feel like that's kind of similar to what manifesting is, like, making your brain look for the things that, like, you want. Like, how you always see, like, I don't know, if you're thinking about buying a certain car, you just, like, see it everywhere.
It's kind of like angel numbers.
Yeah!
And I can say this because...
You used to think you're a witch.
I literally have an angel number tattooed on me I got when I was young.
Well, what does the angel number 44 mean?
Great question. Cut this out while I quickly look because I've forgotten.
I just get so excited when I see, like, 111. I don't really know what it means. I'm like, ooh, like, that's fun.
I remember now.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, so angel number 44444.
Yes. Oh, four fours.
No. 44 is what I used to see all the time. Like, I shit you not, every day, multiple times a day, and my friends can attest to this. I think I was a bit unbearable with it. Essentially, it just means that you're on the right path, and that was a major comfort to me. I started seeing it probably when I was about, I want to say 17.
Yeah.
And really saw it a lot up until I was about 20.
Yeah.
But it was just the most comforting thing to me. And
I love that.
I guess my brain was always looking for it
Yeah.
in a sense, because I'm like, you know, there's no way there's that many. Obviously, there are that many 4-4s, but it was really comforting, and I feel like it kind of protected my brain in a way.
Yeah.
Of, you are on the right path. Everything you're doing is...
It's beautiful.
It's just setting up these beliefs for yourself.
Yeah.
Whether other people believe in it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think my friends maybe looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
But there are so many people who are there are so many people who are massive on the angel number trend, and that really reminds me of what you were saying.
Yeah.
Just like, having these things that, you know, are personal to you, and your brain will seek it out, and then in turn you'll feel comforted, and it's just a beautiful cycle.
I love that. It doesn't even have to be, like, full spiritual, like, this is not to say we're a spiritual podcast, but it's, like, more like, just, like, taking control of your beliefs and, like, confirming them, Yeah.
People have all kinds of things. People have religion. People have spirituality.
Yeah.
People have faith in the universe.
Yeah.
All these kind of things.
My name's Faith. We're going to have some spirituality here. Just kidding.
It was meant to be. It was ingrained. But
I think it's just the opposite to, like, being fearful, having faith, and just, like, having these positive thoughts about yourself instead of self-limiting. Like, yeah. And it might not be, like, easy to, like, I don't know, I hear people talk about how, like, affirmations, if you feel really shit about yourself, saying to yourself in the mirror, I am amazing, like, that will probably feel like not true.
It can feel very inauthentic.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like meeting yourself halfway, finding the middle ground, but also, like, you know, you want to get to that place of viewing yourself as a certain way, but I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
God, we really rally through different...
Yeah. But I guess the main thing is just, like, challenging your thoughts and, like, having, like, I guess planting good beliefs inside you and looking for a confirmation of that. And sometimes that might not feel natural because it's, like, if you are not used to doing that, if you have quite a negative, like, thought process all the time.
But if you can do it for the negative, you can 100% do it for the positive. It might feel weird and unnatural, but it is possible.
Yeah.
Because where do these negative things come from?
Exactly.
Years and years of practice.
Yeah. I feel like, wow, my recommendation has gone into this because
this is a full circle.
Because, like, that's what I was going to say, like, being thankful for those little things, like, noticing, like, little things, or, like, changing how you view things. Like, by doing that, you're changing how you view it. And so you're looking for those things, like, to confirm it, to affirm it, if that makes sense. I don't know where I was going with that, but just
it's like,
be delusional.
What is the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Come on. If it's not death, then it's alright.
Yeah. Just be delusional, and even if it doesn't work out, who cares? Like, you're having fun. Have fun with things.
Enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Moral of the story. Get the fuck out of your own way.
Yeah.
Because...
no matter what you have to do, get those angel numbers tattooed on you.
Get the fuck out of your own way first, and then get the other people out of your way.
Yeah.
Because everything else will just follow suit, and you'll be so much happier. this podcast is a very, very good example of getting out of my own way, because do you know how terrifying it is to record yourself, put it on streaming services for anyone to listen to?
And we've talked about a lot of interesting things today.
We get so vulnerable, and I don't know, if there's someone who doesn't like me who's listening to me talk for 40 minutes, then I think they actually do like me a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if they're listening and they're hating the whole time, I think they're secretly a lover.
I'm like,
They're a
thanks,
fan.
guys.
Yeah, they're a fan.
Big hugs.
Hello.
Hello.
But yeah, I love that. And I feel like there's also beauty in the journey, because this podcast, it sounds simple, like get out of your way, do the thing. But once you do the thing, you have to keep doing the thing. Like, you can't just be like, oh, done. Like, clap your hands, like, whatever that thing is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, done.
It's like a health journey.
Yeah.
You can't have all these beautiful health habits that last you for a 12-week challenge at the gym and then throw it out the window and expect to keep your results, you know?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Sustainability in all areas of life,
Yeah.
it's really the key.
It's true. And it's like, you don't know until you, like, give it a go and then keep giving it a go. But you get that momentum once you start.
Yes. And that's the whole thing. You'll fail, you'll learn what works,
Yeah.
and you roll with it.
And you'll get those new beliefs in your brain, and your brain will find them. Maybe through angel numbers.
Maybe through God. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe through your food. Like, yeah. Sometimes you get a free thing. Like, I don't know. I know what I'm saying. Sometimes things just work out and you're like, oh, damn, that happened.
It's like those perfect days where it's like, I got all green lights.
Yeah.
Everything's meant to be.
But sometimes, like, I feel like it's such a big thing with your brain, because, like, you could have all this other stuff happen, but because you're focusing on all the good stuff, like, whoa, all this good stuff happens, but, like, yeah.
There is good all around, you just got to seek it out. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, very woo-woo, very cheesy, but I think sometimes we all need to hear it, and
Yeah.
if you're not going to say it to yourself, we'll say it to you.
Yeah. We're about, like, your brain, and, like, to help your brain. Be your brain's friend instead of being against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get in your own corner.
Get in your own corner. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Be delusional.
Dust out those cobwebs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How cool. I feel hyped.
Ah. Anyway, that's beautiful. I feel very refreshed.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a lot of nice energy to carry into the new year.
Yeah.
Just silence from me. Silence. Crickets.
Thanks for listening, everyone. That was, we really took everyone on a journey. I didn't expect to talk about angel numbers
No.
and woo-woo things.
When we don't go in with a
But
plan, what happens?
what
Angel
happens?
numbers, spirituality, woo-woo.
Yeah. But I heard that, like, manifesting, and even though, like, it can be, like, I guess, compartmentalized as woo-woo, that's kind of like what, I guess, working with your brain and changing your beliefs is at the same time. So it doesn't even have to be, like, super spiritual woo-woo. It's just like...
And also, why are we like, oh, it's woo-woo?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Let people fucking enjoy things.
Yes.
Enjoy what
Be
works
open.
for you.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's not woo-woo, it's just what I like and believe
And I love
always
listening
have.
to people's, like, different religions. Sometimes I hear about it. I'm like, that's really, like, beautiful. Like, I've never just heard someone talk about it.
Yeah,
'Cause
I'm like, great.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work for me, but I'm so happy that it works for you.
yeah, seeing
And-
people excited, it's like, oh, love
And
that.
that just
for you.
goes for everything in life.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think
This is wholesome.
this wholesome with Faith and Casey.
Cute.
Well, guys, I think that actually wraps up our 4th episode.
Yeah. I don't know how to end an
I said
episode.
we're so fun.
We are! See, own it. We're changing our core beliefs. We think we are the funnest.
I think I'm fun.
I think you're fun.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Alright, that's it. Bye.
Guys, can you please, with a big cherry on top, can you give us a rating and a review? Especially on Apple Podcasts, give us a rating. Only if it's 5 stars. I don't want to hear from you if it's any less. We'd really appreciate it, because it helps us out a lot, and you know, we love to hear feedback, and I don't know, it's just beautiful support. But yeah, we're available everywhere. Spread the word, share with a friend. Follow us on Instagram. Faith
Hey.
is over at Wholesome with Faith.
Casey is Dietitian Casey.
And you can follow us on our Undone Instagram, which is Undone Club. Thanks, guys. Love ya.
Thanks. See you next time.
Bye.
Stop. Stop. Stop it. This podcast was recorded on Turrbal and Yagwa lands. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Always was and always will be.